This is part of Empower's Festival Perempuan for 16 days of activism in the lead up to Human Rights Day, which is on the 10th of December. So quickly before we start, I want to just go through our list of panelists, and we'll start from Melissa over here. If you guys could just give a brief introduction of yourselves, your name, the organization that you're from, and what you're currently working on, that would be great, just to orient our viewers today.
Hi, my name is Melissa Akhir. I'm now a training officer at Women's Aid Organization, or WAO. So most of my work is training or capacity building regarding sexual and gender-based violence against women and against children.
Hi. My name is Tilaga. I'm with Justice for Sisters, and I work on human rights of LGBTIQ persons, and yeah.
Okay, hi, I'm Ishan from Davao City, Malaysia. So we work on Malaysia LGBTQ plus right as well.
I'm Bina from Foreign Spouse Support Group, and we work on issues pertaining to foreign spouses, their children, families, as well as on nationality rights and gender equality. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Serene. I am a training lawyer, and I'm also from Chris Network, an NGO that works on diversifying freedom of expression, especially for women and LGBTQ people.
Hi, my name is Giselle. I'm with Justice for Sister, and PKSP, Pertubuhan Kebajikan Sindang Pelangi, is for like trans women in Malaysia. So that's all for today.
Hai, saya Dina. Saya daripada Justice for Sister hari ini. Saya bekerja dekat Rumah Perlindungan Maknya dekat Ampang.
Okay, welcome everybody. So just for your information, this will be a quite chill session and sesi popet-popet. And we will have it, that's why we will have it in 2 languages, so we'll move intermittently between BM and English. Okay, so as we all know, we keep hearing, especially given the recent discussions on ICED and the responses that have been given to LGBT people, that there is, and some women as well, that there is no discrimination and that everyone is equal. Now, is that really true? What are your thoughts on this? Are we all equal? Bina.
Wouldn't it be a wonderful world if there was just equality? But it isn't so. So I think it starts at various levels. For instance, I just realized that discrimination, or my daughter felt discriminated at the age of 3. And guess why? When I bought a pair of socks for my son and she got a headband, she said, but he got 2 and I got only 1. And she walked up in a huff, she was just 3, and walked to her room and said, that's very unfair, right? And so it can start like that in a small way in the family. And I didn't mean anything. I bought her a gift. I bought my son something that he needed to use for school, but she felt discriminated. But from there, it goes on. I think in the Asian family that a lot of times women feel discriminated. I used to always feel that I had an earlier curfew time than my brother, and I thought that was very unfair. And perhaps that's what made me fight against injustice. And anybody else?
If I may add to that, right?
Yeah.
For those who always claim that there is no discriminations and that everything is neutral, right? It's because the perceived neutralities is about their life, their realities, right? I mean, if we look at law, people tend to claim that the law is neutral, but the law is never neutral because it's about drawing lines, right? Like first, the law decides who can get married, and the law decides who can inherit properties. The law decides that marital rape is permissible. The law said that the law authorized stalkings of women. So with all these things, right, we also have to look at who has the power to actually define all these lines, who is making decisions about everybody's life, and who is invisible from all these things, who is being excluded from the entire process. So yeah.
So we're looking a little bit, so it sounds like, I mean, discrimination in a nutshell comprises feelings of marginalization, exclusion, and just to get everybody on the same level, it can also happen based on various identities, right? So we know that it can happen on the basis of sex, gender, religion, anybody else?
Disability.
Race, disability, or ability.
How well you do in school.
Yeah.
You get actually streamed into different
Yeah.
classes, and that actually gave some of the children a feeling that it was not fair that they were put and they were kind of labeled,
So performance,
yes,
academic performance, because it's judged using a particular exam and some kids might be able to perform better than others. Are there any other?
It's great that you mentioned racism, because I was stuck amongst, 20,000 people who were shouting racist slogans. So clearly discrimination and racism exists in our country, and we can see it today. And while you're there as a woman who's there who doesn't agree with racism, you also get, you would get, how do we say this? Someone would just tengok you pandang tepi like that, and then like, dah tak cukup kain. Yeah. So because you don't look the same as the persons with privilege or the majority, so maybe we can speak further about how these layers together. But in a racist rally, I found it interesting that I was also judged maybe because I didn't look the same as others, not the same religion, not the same expression. Yeah. So we can see where this works further on in terms of racism or forms of discrimination.
So you're saying, just to clarify, so just FYI, Mel almost didn't make it to join us today because she got stuck. One is there were no grabs, and two, she got stuck outside the LRT station again because of no grabs, right?
Yeah.
And stuck in like a completely scary crowd of like racist sloganeers.
Yeah.
And then
who would look oversight because they were looking at you like, what are you wearing? Stuff like that, yeah.
So how dare you?
Yeah.
Kau bukan perempuan Melayu lagi. Okay. So, but you actually, I'm so glad you made it. But you did mention several layers of identity which intersect, which brings me to my next question, or like what I wanted to basically bring to the table, which is on intersectionality. Does anybody want to volunteer to touch on that? Giselle.
Thank you for the question. Discrimination is such a formal. So I'll try to mix in dua language because membawang is sesuai dalam bahasa Melayu lah ya. Bahasa Inggeris certain bahasa tu tak macam terlalu membawang. I setuju. So berbalik kepada soalan Suri tadi, yes. Diskriminasi dekat Malaysia, I tak nak jauh daripada Malaysia. Yang saya fokus ada kepada transwoman itu sendiri, transgender itu sendiri. Bahawa di dalam transgender juga kita ada layer-layer tersendiri. Sebagai contohnya, jika individu tersebut dilahirkan sebagai transwoman, alright, itu satu diskriminasi dah. Kemudian kalau dia Muslim, satu diskriminasi yang berbeza kepada non-Muslim. You faham? So dia punya layer itulah berbeza dengan transwoman yang bukan Muslim. So akan berbeza dari segi undang-undang, dari segi layanan kepada agama, dan juga bayangkan kalau dia ada transwoman, lepas tu dia Muslim, berbalik pula kepada dia tidak berpendidikan tinggi. So layanan tu lagi level-level diskriminasi yang dia hadapi dari setiap hari agak berbeza daripada transwoman Muslim yang berpendidikan dibandingkan transwoman Muslim yang tidak berpendidikan. Lagi kalau dia adalah seorang yang kurang upaya, so bila dia kurang upaya dah lah dia transwoman, kemudian tidak berpendidikan, and then Muslim, dan bayangkan pula kalau dia adalah seorang transwoman yang transwoman Muslim tidak berpendidikan, kurang upaya dan homeless. Setiap level ini adalah mempunyai diskriminasi. Dia bukan juga diskriminasi luar daripada transwoman, tetapi di kalangan transwoman itu sendiri. Contohnya mungkin saya rasa transwoman, transgender yang lain itu disebabkan saya berpendidikan, I have educated, so yang lain tidak berpendidikan, so rasa dia punya tak ngam lah, maksudnya dia rasa macam okay lah, I don't want to because you tak tidak mencukup, tidak termasuk dalam kelompok ataupun apa yang telah ditetapkan daripada sejarah-sejarah transwoman kena macam ni.
Boleh tak nak tambah?
Silakan.
One more layer of discrimination that maybe we forgot to mention was in terms of age.
Ya.
So contoh tadi, so kalau kanak-kanak, lepas tu kanak-kanak tu memang sexual orientation dia bukan yang biasa difahami. Lepas tu dia street children pula. Ya, dia ada aspek kemiskinan. Jadi sebenarnya ada banyak pertindihan atau lapisan yang sama dari segi tekanan kepada kanak-kanak. Dan ada 53 jenis rupanya kalau kita lapiskan dari segi gender dan sebagainya. Jadi kalau kita tengok contoh tadi tu sangat bagus. Dan mungkin bermula daripada kanak-kanak tu kecil lagi.
Ada 53 apa tu?
53 jenis discrimination yang mungkin wujud pada kanak-kanak. Dia berlapis dengan apa-apa yang sebut jenis tadi. Dari segi pendapatan dia, dari segi bangsa dia contohnya dan sebagainya. Ya?
Umur, gender identity, education, ability.
Can I just say that I'm a migrant, so there are people who are migrants as well, and there's a lot of xenophobia they face. So it is like we hear a lot of times they are stealing our jobs. It's not so. It's not so because there are jobs available, but they are not being taken, right? And these are the jobs that a lot of Malaysians won't want to work in. Number one. Number two, we also have organizations that say they need people. They need people. And do people realize that migrants actually have contributed to the development? Those big buildings, the MRT, the KLCC, and the mammoth buildings, the development you see today are because of these migrants who have come in. They pay levy, which benefits the government, right? They are contributing to the growth of the country. So, and then they are also contributing to towards like what they spend on food. They're increasing the expenditure in the country. So, because whatever some of the amount that they spend is spent here, and yet they face this kind of xenophobia. Sometimes you see people don't want to sit next to them because they are looking dirty, but they've had a hard day, guys. Come on, give them a chance. And they are amongst us. Should they be discriminated? They are on this land. So it's our, I think it's incumbent on all of us to be a bit more, to look through the equality framework and know that they are contributors as well, and they are one amongst us. And is there someone who wants to share, or shall I go on to foreign spouses?
But I think
I think it's very interesting because I'm working with company that's for foreign worker. I do the permit for almost 10 or 7 years. Then most of my workers is from Bangladesh, from Nepal. So yeah, exactly, that is true. Diskriminasi, exists, terhadap kepada Malaysian or non-Malaysian, dari segi sudut pekerjaan pun dah ada diskriminasi. So yeah, that's true. Dah diorang bayar dengan amount yang sangat mahal. For example, under service levy 1,850, belum lagi bayar insurans, bayar lagi speaker dan servis-servis. So kadang-kadang foreign worker yang dekat Malaysia, they're working here, diorang tidak dapat pekerjaan disebabkan diorang kata pekerjaan itu is not for foreign worker, which is not true. So if you deserve, you layak kerja lah.
That's actually, Kak Ina nak tambah kan?
Okay. Kalau kita lihat diskriminasi sebenarnya berlaku kepada setiap orang, terutamanya contohnya kepada orang yang berusia dengan orang yang masih muda. Masing-masing ada sifat diskriminasi antara satu sama lain. Ada kalau kita lihat dalam drama ke dalam mana-mana institusi, diorang akan wujudkan rumah-rumah perlindungan untuk lelaki, untuk perempuan, bahkan sekarang kita untuk maknya. So kalau rumah perlindungan lelaki, rumah perlindungan perempuan, mungkin ada lagi pihak yang cuba untuk memelihara mereka. Tapi bila sebut maknya ataupun transgender woman, mungkin semua orang akan tolak. So mereka lebih double stigma dia punya diskriminasi. Lebih berbanding orang yang orang-orang yang heteroseksual yang orang panggil normal. So sebab itulah sekarang kita sedang berusaha untuk membina rumah perlindungan untuk maknya supaya kita dapat bila mereka dah berusia supaya mereka maksudnya tidak lari daripada identiti mereka, menjadi diri mereka sebenar tanpa mereka pergi ke rumah-rumah perlindungan orang lelaki ataupun orang perempuan dan terpaksa menipu diri mereka sendiri. So mereka terpaksa berhadapan dengan diskriminasi itu dengan menafikan diri mereka dan mereka terpaksa mengikut rumah perlindungan tu punya undang-undang.
Yes.
So yang menariknya apa yang nak tambah Kak Dina kan? So yang menariknya apa yang Kak Dina kata tadi? So bilanya berlaku diskriminasi gender, like bila usia dah tua sikit, satunya tak ada perlindungan sebab sebagai orang tua, right? Dan kemudian kita tengok like ada cascading effect, right? Tak ada nak pergi ke rumah perlindungan, tak ada yang khusus untuk transgender women atau tak diterima di rumah-rumah perlindungan dan dikenakan syarat kalau nak masuk ke rumah perlindungan ni kena mengubah identiti diri sendiri kan. So then di sini then we see another layer of kesan kan, di mana like then orangnya tak ada sokongan langsung untuk atau tak ada ada pencabulan dari segi hak untuk perumahan. Yeah, go ahead. No, go for it.
No, and I wonder if the same person is also disabled.
Yeah.
If you're a transgender woman and you are hearing impaired, so how do you access the medical help, the whatever form of support that you need, or even in general on public access? So the layers of discrimination are we're covering so much.
And so like I think what is interesting when we look at intersectionality is also the complex when these identities intersect and interact, we see the layers of marginalization that people experience, right? And a lot of times they can be quite complex, kan?
Yes.
And we also see like how systemic discrimination becomes, kan?
Yes.
Sebab dalam situasi ni, like for trans women, you know, it is not just pada usia kecil or you know, like what Kak Dina said, you know, pada usia tua pun ada diskriminasi masih lagi, you know. And because dari akarnya is that, you know, this notion that transgender women kena berubah. So dari segi tu kita nampak berlakunya pelbagai, the manifestation tu bercabang-cabang, right? So then dia menjadi satu benda yang sangat menyeluruh dan sistemik. Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
Untuk trans women punya situasi, can I share something experience? Ya, sebab kes ini berlaku dengan community dan saya sendiri yang pergi handle this. Kes yang pertama adalah dalam tahun ini juga, di mana dia bekerja company, okay, lepas tu dia masuk kerja, dia berjaya dapat kerja bla 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 bla, and then management suruh dia you kena pergi tandas berdasarkan identity you. So bayangkan dia punya tempat kerja daripada level yang sangat tinggi 10, dia tak ada choice, dia terpilihan, dia terpaksa keluar dan dia pergi kepada tandas daripada tempat bangunan yang lain. How amazing you, hanya kerana untuk kencing sahaja. So itu satu, dan dia I think it's very sad because dia tak boleh teruskan benda tu, so dia terpaksa berhenti. Dan satu kes lagi ada, I think you remember, kes dekat Negeri Sembilan, yang mana seorang trans woman telah dipukul oleh beberapa, I think 9 lelah budak lah, remaja, 8 atau 9. So pada mulanya pada malam tu kes tu kata dia orang dah polis dah handle bla bla, dia dah kata dia terima kes. Tapi bila kita call balik, polis reject report, dia kata sebab they have a reason. So bila saya pergi sendiri, kita nampak perbezaan diskriminasi di antara orang kata normal cisgender dengan trans woman bila kita berurusan secara rasmi dekat dekat polis. So luckily bila Tilaga tolong, dia kata okay, please contact this lawyer Kasturi. So Kasturi datang, so dia adalah seorang lawyer, so kita nampak perbezaan dekat situ. Salah satunya adalah you punya, mungkin satu adalah jawatan ataupun pendidikan yang menyebabkan kalau you kurang, so layanan tu berbeza. Ya. Dan satu diskriminasi yang I nampak juga adalah undang-undang, macam you cakap tadi betul. Diskriminasi juga wujud kalau kita ingat adalah di bawah syariah sendiri mengatakan lelaki berpakaian wanita itu telah menunjukkan bahawa diskriminasi kepada gender itu sendiri. This is my point.
Yes. Betul. So, and all these different layers of discrimination that actually, like obviously based on the stories that you have all told, stop a person from receiving services and even equal treatment in particular facilities, etc. But something that's gone unspoken and is maybe assumed within this entire conversation is that there is an identity that sits at the apex. You know, if there are different layers of identity that discriminate, that exclude people from services, there's someone who sits right at the top. And that in this context, at least in a Western context, we know that this is a cis white heteronormative man, basically a WASP, right? White, Anglo-Saxon, etc., etc. But in Malaysia, this would be your Malay cis heteronormative man, Muslim,
Rich.
right? Sorry?
Rich.
Right. So class is an issue, and all of these different things. But so yeah, and that then, I mean, and everything that's not that, and of a particular age too. That's when like men in their working age, prime age, when they've made a lot of money, is when they are the most influential. And if you fall outside of that age bracket, that's when, you know, if you're elderly or if you're young, people dismiss your opinions and don't really want to listen to them, right? Which is unfortunately, like for other marginalized aspects of our identity, we that becomes all these other areas of identities become even more relevant. But interestingly enough, this entire conversation has actually moved us into the different types of discrimination. Giselle Trita tadi, you were telling us just now of, you know, when we were talking about migrant workers, for example, the levy tax, all these different forms of payments that people have to give. That's an example of structural discrimination. Can someone just kind of break down structural discrimination for our viewers or for the group? Mel, you wanna give it a shot? Serene, and then
Okay, so if you want to talk about the law, I will go by the law first.
okay.
So if we want to say the law can be a tool of oppression or discrimination, so there can be three aspects, right? There can be law, what it is written, what it says itself, the black and white words of it. So that's the law in substance. And if we talk about the law in structures, which is your question, so the system, the mechanism, how institutions work, so that's on